Tori Sachs, who is the brand new executive director of the Michigan Freedom Fund, right next door here, right next to the Capitol, and right in your ear on the airwaves across the state of Michigan. Welcome to the program.
Good morning, Michael. Thank you for having me.
Congratulations on the new assignment. MichiganFreedomFund.com is where you can learn more. But we want to learn more about you. Who are you really, and what were you before, as Humphrey Bogart said in Casablanca?
Well, look, I've been an advocate for freedom, for conservative principles in this state for over a decade now, working for, former governor, working for the John James campaign in 2018 as a campaign manager. And most recently, I was at Michigan Rising Action, where we were, holding the governor and others accountable every day. And I'm excited to continue, fighting for freedom and doing that work now at the Michigan Freedom Fund.
Where did you grow up, and how did you find politics? How did you arrive at that station in life?
That's a great question. I grew up in Waterford, Michigan, so not too far, but outside of the capital area.
Yeah.
And my mom was actually a government and history teacher when I was growing up, in addition to being a basketball coach, and that's where I really, started getting into politics, and then I went to Oakland University and got on Rick Snyder's first campaign in 2009, and the rest is history.
At what point did you join Rick Snyder's campaign? Because that still astounds a lot of people to this day that he ended up being governor.
Yeah, that was the fall of 2009 is when I started interning for them. I was in college at Oakland University. Great school, highly recommend it. They have a great political science program over there. And you have to do like an internship, as part of the course. And frankly, a lot of the other campaigns, their internships were full. So Rick Snyder needed people, and there I was, and I didn't know enough to know any better that, traditional wisdom at the time said that an outsider couldn't win, and lo and behold, we won, and it was a great experience and a great campaign experience coming out of college.
Had he already won the primary at that stage, or were you working for him during the primary?
No, it was during the primary. So it was almost I joined almost a year before the actual primary date, 11 months before.
Wow. And so he had all of these experienced, well-known Republicans in that primary battle, and you got one tough nerd.
Yeah. The outsider, the businessman, the tough nerd who, I think people forget how bad the state was at the time. I mean, especially growing up in Waterford, times were tough. The recession was hitting really hard. Foreclosures were through the roof. A lot of people, a lot of friends of mine, they had to leave the state for jobs. Their parents had to leave the state for jobs, and I wanted to fight to make the state better so that I could stay here and live here, and that's what I've been doing.
When you got that internship, did you believe he could win?
Yeah. I mean, yes, he said all the right things. I'd never done a campaign, so would I think that now? I mean, maybe. But look, that was the same thing with John James. When we started that campaign in 2017, everyone's like, oh, sounds great profile, but you guys have never, he's never campaigned before, and I think this just shows if you're willing to go out and put the work in and talk to the voters, talk to the people across the state of Michigan, anybody can get elected. You just have to be willing to put in the work, and it does take a lot of work, and that's why I was excited to work with John James on his campaign in 2017 and 2018.
He's a very busy businessman and father, and what do you think the John James future is politically?
I think it's bright, whatever he chooses. There's people out there who want him to run for Congress. There's people out there who want him to run for governor. There's people out there who want him to do a multitude of other things in the political arena. And I think he just wants to keep working to make a difference. And that's what, I really like about him is that it's somebody who doesn't have to serve. He didn't have to go to West Point. He didn't have to, join the military and go fight in Iraq. And people like that are people that we need in leadership across the state and across the country. And I think whatever he decides, when he's ready to decide it, he'll be successful at.
And those were big, bold runs, weren't they, to try to unseat a U.S. senator?
They were, but hey, I mean, that's the beauty of this country is that, if you want to get up, if you want to go work hard and share your ideas and get people to believe in them, you can do that. You don't have to be a career politician, to run for office.
The Michigan Freedom Fund, as you understand it, and as you explain it to people when they ask you, you're going to work where, how would you describe it, not only to people that you know, but to the people listening right now?
Yeah, well, I would first say check us out at MichiganFreedomFund.com. Make sure you follow us on Facebook and Twitter at Michigan Freedom. And I would say, look, we're fighting for conservative principles, which you might hear more often, but specifically freedom. And I think we've seen a lot in the last year in the pandemic that freedom is something you have to fight for. Every generation has to fight for it, whether it's the freedom to go to church, whether it's the freedom to be able to buy tomato seeds at Walmart. Look, I mean, our freedoms were under attack. I say that in jest. But, that really did happen. So I think looking at the issues that we face now, looking at, the labor shortage of workers across the state coming out of the pandemic, I think we have a lot of tough issues that we need to be fighting for, and we need to be supporting the people who are in office, who are fighting for those freedom principles every day as well.
Does it concern you or shock you the willingness with which some people are, able to part with their freedoms or let their freedoms be taken away?
Yeah, but I think we saw a lot of people stand up. Mm-hmm. It started small at first when this happened, but it's grown over time that, this is a free country. This is a free state. People want to enjoy their basic constitutional freedoms. And we're going to keep fighting for those and expanding upon those, now and into the future at the Michigan Freedom Fund.
Will we get the Front Lines of Freedom publication still every Friday? Is that going to be available eventually?
Yeah, I think do you like it? Should we continue it?
Yeah, I dig that.
All right.
It's useful.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We'll keep it going. Look, Tony did a great job when he was here. I've known him for a long time, and I'm excited to follow in his footsteps and help the Michigan Freedom Fund grow and help promote our conservative ideas across the state.
Look forward to talking to you again on the air soon. Tori Sachs, the new executive director of the Michigan Freedom Fund.